Nearly 750 koalas shot dead by snipers from helicopter in Australian wildlife Cull. Why? Let's deep dive.
Welcome. You're here to get past the headlines and get straight to the core of the story quickly.
That's the plan.
So today we're looking at a really tough story out of Australia. It's about a controversial culling of hundreds of koalas.
Yes, this happened recently in Victoria, in Budj National Park, following those devastating bushfires.
Okay, so our goal here is to really unpack this. We've got news reports, we've got activist statements.
Exactly. We want to understand the different viewpoints, what the actual issues are based on what's being reported.
Right. Let's start with the main event then. What exactly happened?
So earlier this month, authorities culled approximately 700 koalas in the park.
700, wow. And the official reason?
The government stated the animals were in very poor condition, dehydrated, starving, some injured directly because of the wildfires.
Wildfires that destroyed their habitat, right?
Yes, over 2,000 hectares of it, a massive area.
Okay, but the method.
Yeah.
That seems to be a major point of contention.
It really is. The euthanasia was carried out by shooting the koalas from helicopters.
From helicopters.
Mm-hmm. And wildlife advocates have, understandably, I think, reacted very strongly. They're calling it ineffective, unethical.
I can see why. How can you accurately tell if a koala is suffering that badly from, 100 feet up?
That's precisely the concern advocates are raising. The risk of mistakenly killing healthy koalas or, mothers with joeies, it's significant.
And is this a standard practice?
Apparently not. Friends of the Earth Melbourne specifically pointed out this is the first time koalas have been killed this way. They're worried it sets a nasty ethical precedent, a dangerous precedent.
Okay, so the method is one major issue. What else?
The fate of orphan joeies. There's real outrage here.
Oh no, what happened?
Reports suggest that after the fires, the area was effectively blocked off to wildlife rescuers.
So help couldn't get in.
Exactly. They couldn't reach potentially orphan joeies, whose mothers might have died in the fires or, crucially, during the culling itself.
That's awful to think about.
The Koala Alliance used strong words. Despicable. Cruel. They argued that if koalas were shot, many joeies might have just been left behind to suffer.
Just horrible. So what are these advocate groups demanding now?
Well, a couple of main things. First, they want a proper review of how koalas are managed in these kinds of disaster situations.
Makes sense.
And the second,
they're urging a stop to the logging, the harvesting of healthy eucalyptus trees on nearby private land.
Why there specifically?
Because those trees represent vital food and shelter for the koalas that did survive the fires and the culling. They need that habitat protected.
Okay, that seems practical. How's the Victorian government responding to all this criticism?
They're defending the decision. They state it was based on advice from veterinary experts who assessed the situation.
So they felt it was a necessary evil, essentially.
Pretty much. They emphasize that the decision was made after, quote, careful consideration of the koala's distress. Premier Jacinta Allen said the approach was necessary to address the severe condition of the koalas. Right. It's important to put this in context, too, isn't it? Koalas aren't doing well, generally.
Not at all. They're officially listed as endangered in Queensland, New South Wales, and the ACT.
And that's largely due to habitat loss.
Yes. Things like logging, agriculture, urban sprawl, and of course, increasingly severe bushfires like the ones that led to this event. This situation in Victoria really highlights how vulnerable they are right across the country.
So wrapping this up, we basically have this clash, right? The authorities saying, look, this was a tough but necessary call based on animal welfare advice.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, advocates raising serious ethical flags about the way it was done, the potential for errors, and the, heartbreaking consequences for orphan joeies.
Absolutely. It leaves us with a really difficult question, doesn't it? When these environmental disasters hit and wildlife is suffering terribly, what is the most humane response? How do you balance trying to end suffering with, the methods used and the potential knock-on effects? It's incredibly complex.
Definitely something to think about. There are no easy
This has
answers
sparked an
here.
outrage. What's your thought? Comment it. Thanks.